What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Off the Backboard. I am your host, Eloy Thomas, and today we're going to be going through my top 10 shooting guards across the NBA this season. And my apologies, y'all. I was supposed to drop this video on Friday, but I've been sick in bed so bad to the point where I couldn't even talk properly. I tried to record, it didn't go too well, so we got the video for y'all today. Let's get right into the list. First, I want to give a shout out to some guys who really could have made the list. One, they just were really close and didn't quite make the cut, or two, they were injured and just hadn't played enough games on the season to be considered for the list so far. So for the guys that have been out with injuries, you have Anthony Simons, who of course has only played one game, Terry Rozier at 9 games, Tyler Hero at 8 games, and Cam Thomas at 10 games. Few guys who I thought were really close to making the list but just didn't quite make the cut. You have Jalen Suggs, who's been a dog for the Magic this season. Absolutely been helping them find their identity on defense. I feel like you're getting a moment from this guy every game on the defensive end. You have RJ Barrett, who's been having a really solid season for the Knicks, and Knicks have of course looked good this season. And you have Jordan Clarkson, who's always just been a straight bucket, looking good for the Jazz. Free him till his backwards. And to start the list off at our number 10 spot, we have San Antonio shooting guard Devin Vassell, who has just been having a really solid season for them this far, even on that minute restriction after that injury that he had. I believe it was like a left quad contusion. Only getting about 26 minutes of run right now, but averaging about 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 49% from the field and 40% from 3, 79% from the line, so something that you would want to see get up a little bit. But still, the field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, crazy efficient. One of only 5 players right now that is shooting at least 49% from the field and 40% from 3 with on a certain amount of attempts. With him, D'Lo, D-Book, KD, and Tyrese Halliburton being the only players that are doing that right now. So just a really good company to be in. Just really supplying a steady scoring and shooting for a young Spurs team that needs it badly. Of course, they're only sitting at 3-16 right now. But the future's looking bright out there in San Antonio, and a big reason for it is Devin Vassell. Up next, sliding in our number 9 spot, we have Houston Rockets shooting guard Jalen Green, who so far is having a decent season for them, putting up about 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 42% from the field, 34% from 3, and 78% from the line. Not quite the jump that I think Rocket fans were expecting this season. I think that they were expecting him to be more in like the 22 to 24 point per game range, and is a guy that can get there just because he has the tough shot making ability, the athleticism, all of the things that make him a great scorer. But I just don't think that he's ever going to get to that level in the NBA. Like I said it was a few videos back, but basically just said that, in my opinion, Jalen Green is more of a guy that is going to be a really good 3rd to 4th option on a really good championship caliber team. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, right? That's obviously not what the Rockets drafted him in hopes of him becoming, but every team needs one of those guys. It's just going to be a dynamic bucket getter that can, light it up for 20-30 on any given night, but he's just not as consistent as you would want him to be a number 1 option. And I just think, like I said, he's too hot and cold to be anything more than that in this league. Of course, anything can happen. He can prove me wrong. He's a fantastic player, do not get me wrong. But in my opinion, I just don't see him climbing too much higher than this on this list. Some people might think that this is too low, but this is where I have Jalen Green slotting in at the number 9 spot. Up next at our number 8 spot, we have Chicago Bulls shooting guard Zach LaVine, who is putting up decent numbers, putting up about 21 points per game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 44% from the field, 33% from 3, and 86% from the line. And if you're a guy that just looks at, like the box score averages, you might look at those numbers and think, hey, Zach LaVine's having another decent Zach LaVine kind of season. But those numbers just do not put into context how disinterested he has looked to play basketball. The Chicago Bulls are one of the worst watches in the entire league. I seen this stat the other day that basically said they have the worst starting 5 in terms of defensive rating and offensive rating in the entire league by far, bar none. Like, not even the Wizards or the Pistons have a lineup that compete with how bad the Chicago Bulls starting lineup is. So you just need to get Zach LaVine out of there. Obviously, he's been in a lot of trade talks. Shams recently said that he had no market, which I just don't really believe. I know that the contract is really big and you're trading for a guy that's not going to be your first option, but Zach LaVine is still an extremely viable scorer that I feel like any team would like to have on their roster as long as the trade looks right. Hopefully they get LaVine out of Chicago soon, man. Like I said, very talented player, and I feel like if he were to be moved to a contender, we would really see his sort of value rather than just watching him rot away on the Bulls with this lineup that very obviously doesn't work. Quick premise before we get into this next player. I'm recording this on the 5th of December, so a lot of the stats and stuff I'm talking about are going to be changing. I might be premising a game that I said is a few nights ago. It might be a week by the time you see this video. But at number 7, we're going to have the Atlanta Hawks shooting guard DeJounte Murray, who, of course, has just been looked really solid for them this season, putting up about 20.5 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 45% from the field, 40% from 3, and 86% from the line. I really want to highlight that 45% from the field and 40% from 3 was a guy to start the season that really was looking like he couldn't miss when it came to shooting the basketball. Has slowed down a bit, of course, but it's still just been really efficient for them. Something that they need with his fellow backcourt mate and Trae Young just not being as efficient this season as he has been in the past. In my opinion, just the perfect number 2 for him. Once they can, fill out that front court, I feel like this Atlanta Hawks team can be dangerous with them at the helm. A guy that's really still making his defensive presence to be felt. Currently top 5 in the league in steals per game. He had that 30-point performance against the Bucks the other night, so still scoring at a really high clip. Just a really solid player, great backcourt mate for Trae Young. And again, once they bolster up that front court, this team with them at the helm can be very dangerous. Up next at our number 6 spot, we're going to have Memphis Grizzlies shooting guard Desmond Bane, who has just been really fun to watch his entire career this far. A guy who's been taking a significant jump in terms of production every season of his career, and this season has been no different. So far, putting up 23.8 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 45% from the field, 36% from 3, and 84% from the line. Really solid efficiency from a guy that's been the clear number 1 option for the Grizzlies this year. Has had them looking better after the really bad start. They're currently 4-6 in their last 10, so it's kind of starting to ramp the winning up a little bit. And I'm just really hoping that he's a guy that can keep up their production once Ja Morant comes back from suspension. I'm pretty sure that he will, just because the Memphis Grizzlies don't have a lot of depth right now just because of all of the injuries. But really rooting for Desmond Bane, and once Ja Morant comes back, I think that backcourt could possibly, I don't know. The West is super stacked. I don't know if it's too late for the Grizzlies. They're currently sitting at the 14 seed right now at a 5-14 record. So a lot of their wins have came of late. Hopefully they can pick it back up. But the losing has not been in Desmond Bane's part. He's been doing everything he can for this team this season. Just been solid as always, and I hope he can keep the production up. Up next on the list at our number 5 spot, we have a Dallas Mavericks shooting guard, Kyrie Irving. And I really went back and forth with whether I should put him at number 5 or Desmond Bane. And the main thing to me, the way that I was looking at it, is if I was a contending team, who would I want at my shooting guard position? And main reason why I took Kyrie Irving right now, I know that he has Luka Doncic out there in Dallas, but just the team success, you've had Luka-led teams out there in the past before. They just haven't been that successful. Of course, you had that team that he took to the Western Conference, but then after that was just kind of a shit show out in Dallas. But since, this season they've looked really good with Kyrie, currently sitting at 11-8 at the 6th seed right now. He's having a good year, putting up about 23.5 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 45% from the field, 37% from 3, and 89% from the line. But he just needs to be more aggressive. One of the big things that I see when watching the Dallas Mavericks is that, yeah, of course, Kyrie's going to get his. He's going to score just because he's that talented as a basketball player. But it just doesn't really look like he has that same kind of killer mentality or aggression that he had before, when it was with the Cavs, when they were on those championships runs. Even with the Nets, when he was the number 1 option, putting up all sorts of crazy numbers with the Celtics, whatever it may be, it just doesn't look the same as he has in the past years. So I'm really hoping that he can, get that passion back, because when he's 100% and, has that killer mentality, then he's a guy that literally cannot be stopped on the court. And if you have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, who both just, are scoring machines, that offense will just be insanely hard to stop. So hoping he can get that mentality back really soon. Up next, we have a player that I didn't even really know was labeled as a shooting guard. Maybe it's just because I don't watch a whole lot of this team's games, and because they were labeled as a small forward in the past couple of years. But we have Toronto Raptors guard Scott. I don't know why it's saying that messed me up, but Toronto Raptors Toronto Raptors guard Scottie Barnes, who so far this season has logged 56% of his minutes at shooting guard. That was a big qualification for the list, is that you had to have logged at least half your minutes at the position. So if you haven't heard your favorite player and they're not on the list, chances are they might be on the point guard or small forward list, or they just didn't make the cut, buddy. So tell them to get better. But so far in the season, you have Scottie Barnes averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 46% from the field, 38% from three, and 77% from the line. Of course, look great so far. Again, I haven't watched a whole lot of Toronto Raptors games, so I haven't got to see him live in action a whole ton. Didn't know that he was even running the 2. But currently top 10 in box plus minus and VORP, which is this value over a replacement player, with the lowest usage percentage in anyone in the top 10 in both of those categories. So a guy that's just been extremely efficient in terms of production for this team while not having the ball in his hands a ton. So once you get more competent teammates and spacing around him, this is a guy that I'm sure is going to skyrocket in these numbers and possibly this list if he keeps playing the 2 position. The shooting from mid-range and his close shot has looked a lot better according to percentages. Still needs to get that 3-point shot up though. He's a guy that once he really starts to stretch the floor, the sky is the limit for him. That's my number 4 shooting guard, Scottie Barnes. Up next, we have a guy who's kind of crazy to have at our number 3 spot. But this is going to be Cleveland Cavaliers shooting guard Donovan Mitchell, who is putting up really good numbers on the season. 27 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 44% from the field, 34% from 3, and 90% from the line. This is super off topic, but I just need to talk about this. Basically, he was on Terrence Ross's podcast recently, and he was telling a story about how Paul George was the one that convinced him to go into the draft that year because he was going to stay another year at college. And then that rookie year, he proceeded to come and bust our ass in the playoffs, the Paul George and the Russell Westbrook-led Oklahoma City Thunder. Something I just needed to get off my chest because it's been bugging me all day. Of course, though, Donovan Mitchell is an absolute bucket. He had that 40-point masterclass against the Hawks a few nights ago where he just went absolutely crazy and cannot miss putting the ball in the basket. We know he's a prolific scorer, can do that on any given night. Had that 71-point performance this last season. Big thing for Donovan Mitchell, though, is he going to be on the Cavs this next season? If I had to guess, no. He seems like more of a big market guy. Of course, wanted to go to the Knicks this last summer. Ended up coming to the Cavs, and a surprise to everyone. If I had to guess, though, won't be on the team this next season. Where he goes, I don't know, but the Knicks will probably be in that drawing. And them in the Heat. If I had to guess, though, probably the Knicks, because I have zero confidence in the Heat landing a big-time prospect. Up next, at our number 2 spot, we have Anthony Ant-Man Edwards, who is by far one of the most fun watches in the entire NBA so far this season. Just really quick, I want to send my prayers out to him. I'm hoping that he can get well soon after that fall that he took against my Thunder the other night. I know Jalen Williams is steady trying to take charges. I don't know if he should have tried to take that one. You tell me. But, of course, he's having an amazing season so far, putting up about 26 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 46% from the field, 37% from 3, and 86% from the line. Of course, leading the Timberwolves to the best record in the NBA so far, which is crazy to say, and they've held that spot for about a week. As I record this, sitting at the number 1 seed in the Western Conference at 15-4. The big thing for me, of course, he's an All-NBA lock. Is he a guy that in his career can win an MVP award? I feel like he can get there. I just don't know if he's a guy that's going to put up the stats to get there. Of course, he's having the amazing season, putting up about 26 points, but I don't see, me personally, I don't know if he can ever get up to that 30-point per game range. The efficiency looks really good, of course. MVP caliber, I'm not sure. And are the Wolves really contenders with this team? in my opinion, the Nuggets are the team to beat out there, but I would not be surprised if the Timberwolves make a really deep playoff run this year. And with the Twin Towers look that they have in Rudy Gobert and Cat, I feel like they would be best adept to guarding the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, just being able to clog up the paint. They have the perimeter defenders to get after him too. So enough about the Timberwolves in general. This is about Ant-Man having an amazing season so far this year. One of the best young players to watch across the league. And though he may not be MVP caliber in my opinion, he's a guy that no doubt will be #1 on this spot in some time. And last but not least, at our #1 spot, we have Phoenix Suns shooting guard Devin Booker, who, despite taking more of a playmaking role this season, averaging about 8.5 assists so far this season, is still leading all shooting guards in scoring total points per game, putting up averages of about 28 points, 5.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 47% from the field, 37% from three, 93% from the line. So amazing averages on great efficiency. Big reason why I said he's been taking more of that playmaking role. Of course, you see it in, just in gameplay, how he's been moving the ball more. His assist numbers are up. But also in one of his post-game interviews the other day, he said that Kevin Durant is the scorer on this team and I'm the point guard. Which, of course, you have one of the best scorers in history, Kevin Durant. So he is going to let him be the more primary scorer. This is still Devin Booker's team, even if he's saying that regardless, which is crazy to say with a guy like Kevin Durant on your team that this is still my team. But Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant both know that. He's been around through the dark ages when they were winning like 12 games in the year. 9-2 with him this season, so definitely been the most valuable player for the Suns. Again, even with Kevin Durant out there. Underrated defensively, just not a whole lot to say about D-Book, man. Easily the best shooting guard in the league. But one thing I want y'all to let me know in the comments down below, how long until Anthony Edwards takes this #1 spot from Devin Booker? Just because, and call me crazy, let me know if I'm bugging, but I feel like Anthony Edwards has a higher ceiling as a player than Devin Booker does. I feel like they can both score about the same, both insane scorers that can hit super tough shots. But if you look at Anthony Edwards' athleticism, mentality, and the way that he gets it on defense, I feel like the floor is definitely higher than Devin Booker. Of course, he has a youth aspect going for him as well. So let me know in the comments if and when you think that Anthony Edwards is going to take this spot from Devin Booker. And that's going to do it for this episode, y'all. I just want to say thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Again, I want to apologize for not dropping this last week. Again, super sick. But I'm making a promise to myself and all of you guys. I'm going to be dropping 2 videos a week for foreseeable future. I really want to see this channel grow. I appreciate all of the support so far. If you want to show me any additional support, you can also follow me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok at Off the Backboard. I'm on Twitter at Off the Backboard. Same handle across all platforms. I'll, put whatever up right here. If you enjoyed the video, again, like, subscribe, comment if you think that Anthony Edwards is going to take the #1 spot from Devin Booker anytime soon. Appreciate you guys for watching again, man. I'm out of here. Peace.